This
Live.
call is being recorded.
All right, I am recording our conversation. Please don't hesitate to interrupt if you have any questions whatsoever. And I mean, right off the bat, I was mind blown just off of seeing that your sun is, you were born 29 degrees sun in Aries, which I've just come, in fact, it's 11:29 a.m. right now, which I didn't, I just kind of like those synchronicities or coincidences. But yeah, I mean, um, I've come to really respect 29-degree placements, planets, anything from 20 degrees to 29. I've learned indicates mastery. It's like you have 1 degrees of any planet or Aries, let's say, which the first 10 degrees are very important versus by 29 degrees, it really does know mastery, the peak of that. It really doesn't get better when it comes to
Oh,
that. 29 degrees now also is an anaretic degree that it will speak of maybe mastering this from a past life and coming into this life with this. But what I like to look at it is mastery. Me personally, I have my Mercury 29 degrees. It's why I'm such a gifted communicator. It's in Taurus. So to see that you have your sun at the 1 degree away from the ninth house of God in ascension, with your sun exalted in Aries, which is, I will always say y'all are God's favorite children. Y'all are the one, okay? Which is, it's very amazing to see. The older I get, the more I appreciate the principle of authenticity that is sparked by Aries. And I could, as a Gemini sun, I consider that like the best friend, brother, sister sign as well. So very,
oh,
very grateful. But to see that you have Pluto 29 degrees in Leo is what almost made me fall out my seat. That now takes us to a whole nother level. And I'm going to include an alien construct article about having Pluto right next to your rising, because that is an alien construct. Technically, you would be an instrument alien. So when you get the recording to this, once again, please don't hesitate to interrupt if you have any questions. You'll
okay.
see the link to Pluto instrument alien. They can make themselves way more appear as an animal, identify enemies, confront with true courage and fearlessness. And once again, 29 degrees is such a pivotal placement to now embody this bridge of the generation coming into Pluto Virgo, which brought in, the dead stock hippie revolution, the civil rights activist era. You being born here is so pivotal because we're getting ready to come out of Pluto's 29 Capricorn, and that's aspecting and making an angle with your Pluto right now. So that's one major theme of the transit forecast I want to speak on. One, to honor how you embody this Pluto Leo generation. And at this sense, it is retrograde. So it may have gone direct through Virgo or not. But that's the first thing, without making this too much of a natal chart reading, even though I wouldn't mind because your chart is amazing. Just to kind of reference that, we see your moon. So another archetype you have that's very mind blowing to me is the Taurus moon, Aries sun, with the moon exalted and the sun exalted. To see all of this connected isn't really a coincidence. So we know that as a Taurus moon, oh my goodness. And then okay, so this is something that every time I do a chart reading with Virgo feature, like Virgo rising sun, there's always this insane element of precision, almost as if like the zodiac sign has a mind of its own. And with if Scorpio is the specific stinger, Virgo is the precision to make sure through analysis we're on point. 0 degrees Virgo rising means that you embody mastery. You're the critic. You are, of course, the master. That takes all of the talents from Aries, Taurus to Leo and puts it all together. This, of course, gives you a critical personality that is analytical. And the reason why this is amazing is every time I do a chart featuring Virgo, we see this insane element of precision. 29 trine 29, your 7 degree Taurus moon square 7 degrees Uranus in Leo. To have both of those at exact is just such, it's like winning the lottery like twice or three times. To when I see like stuff like that, it lets me know that you, at the core of your personality, you're on point. You are someone who is very masterful in the way you account for these nuances. And so when we put all this together, your sun is mastered 29 degrees in the eighth house of other people. And so, as a Virgo rising, you have Libra in the second house, and this gives you social value. Whereas I have Gemini in the second house with my son. So, you paid me so that I can communicate with you. This is one on one. You have the next level up of this where Libra is social. So when people will pay you to build relationships, this is how you come into your value. But the coolest thing is your awareness is in Aries. So you have the social value, but you're aware of the authenticity of who you're dealing with and who honors your social value. So that lets you see who to draw boundaries with, who to deal with, who to invest your value in, and already see how to polish that. So I wanted to get that out the way. Mercury is 24 degrees right next to this. So if the sun is your consciousness, Mercury is your megaphone. We see your heart is exalted. So you have 3 points of exaltation. Mind blowing. Once again, it's very, very rare. Venus exalted, Sun exalted, and Moon exalted. Very awesome. So I really like this. This almost puts you. I mean, it doesn't give you that archetype, but I still want to put it there. The sun goddess queen archetype, where you still have like the exalted light of the sun. It's just you matured it more at birth to bring more reality to it. So you are natural authenticity with the critical perspective. Now let's get into the transits, because this is where this gets really exciting. Saturn is 1 degrees going direct. And the cool thing about Saturn is that when it goes through your seventh house, it prepares one for marriage or divorce or business partnerships. The last time Saturn went through your seventh was 93, 94, and 95. That's not true. It was, yeah. 93, 94, 95. And this is now revisiting that last 30-year karmic cycle where 2008 was the last time it went through your first house. So a lot of the karma that you had spent for 17 years since 2008, one was bringing greater authority over the integrity of how you express your critical personality, how you are, which Virgo is a social personality. So even though like myself, we both have individual spirits in that Gemini is individual, Aries is individual, Taurus is individual. In fact, Aries and Taurus are antisocial because Libra is social and Aries is opposite it, and Scorpio social and Taurus is opposite it. So even though you are an individual, you got the individual queen natural soul because it's exalted here, and the spirit, you do still have a real social personality, which enables you to take your individuality and deal with others individually while still being social. So a lot of that karma that you held yourself accountable to make sure you're not just noticing the details, you hold yourself accountable to it. Now you've completed it, and now that you have become that person, you're holding other people accountable in the same vein. Especially in the way where now that it's in Pisces, you are in a position to now extend the accountability towards the beliefs of other people. And that's where having seventh house Pisces, of course, as a Virgo rising, it can, especially with Neptune since 2012 that's been in there. For example, it's in my 11th house. So it's attracted in the 11th house of friends. My relationship with my friends, I could be very forgiving. I can appeal to pity and like kind of, enable some of their bad habits. This is going to be in a seventh house place, but Virgo is no nonsense. So this could be attracting, I don't want to say bums or homeless people, but more so it could be attracting, even in the richest person, even in someone who is amazing, this tendency for people to try and take advantage of your kindness. In fact, Virgo is the definition of kindness as it's the applied love of Leo. So fundamentally, you have a kind personality. People will try and take that for weakness and start to want you. The seventh house Pisces can attract people who want you to enable their delusions, which now makes you the bad guy because you're just telling it like it is, like being very factual, but very on point. So the Saturn transit, and it would be good to see, because of course your progress chart, you're no longer a Virgo rising, but it'd be good to see relative to 93, 94, 95, that trend of when Saturn goes to the seventh, open enemies, And then because Pisces is a collective, it's going to feel like you versus the world, you being challenged by collective narratives and beliefs that challenge the facts you represent. And I mean, you've already been around the block. So coming back again, post Saturn return, you're even more on point than before. And that brings us to your Saturn. Not only do you have 29 degrees Pluto and 29 degrees Sun, you have 25 degrees Saturn and Sag. That's one of the most epic grand fire trines I've ever seen. Which, once again, when I see a fire trine like this, it to me looks like a fire goddess aspect, a fire god, fire goddess aspect, one of like a creator goddess that takes the primordial source fire, and then the integrity of your vision with Saturn in the fourth is, as a critic, critics unveil hidden meaning. So Sagittarius fourth house is fourth house hidden, meaning Sagittarius, but you have so much authority over the crystallized visions, over your philosophic approach towards life. This enables you to really criticize and unveil hidden meaning and experiences, but it also helps you materialize your visions to where if you see things and commit to them, they will really just kind of like manifest. I'm not sure if you experienced that, but I wanted to put that out there because it is just such a dynamic trine that we know coming into 2018, 2019, you had your Saturn return. That was where you completed that next Saturn return. The last time that there was a Saturn return before that was 1986, 1987, and then you, of course, when it was in Gemini, had that initial completion, let's say 2001, then boom, we went back around 2015 to like 2019, you had your next return. And so relative to the transits, 25 degrees Capricorn in 2020 was where you manifested the Saturn return. 25 degrees of Pisces, no, 25 degrees of Pisces coming into 2024, 2025 is where, okay, there we go, my bad. 25 of Capricorn 2020 was when you manifested. So if you have this integrity of philosophy and vision to where a lot of what you see into the meaning of is backed up by the authority to also create, because this is also authoritative creation. Saturn in the last four signs has a God level collective element to it. So, like the few souls of us who have this, you are responsible for element of the collective and how, as a critic, you hold others accountable, especially in the fourth house where it's like you can see who someone is behind closed doors for real, even if they're wearing like, suit on. It's like you can kind of see that element of work ethic. That integrity aligns to your Aries sun, which now strengthens the visual meaning of what you're seeing in character. And I love fire sign archetypes like you possess because every time I ask this question, you all kind of confirm that when you look into someone's eyes, you can see directly how evil or pure they are. The light of
Right.
that fire, which is just very mind blowing to me, very profound. And on top of that, the 25 degree Saturn Aquarius now coming into 2022 into 2023 was where you activated the final part of the activation. So basically, we had the 0 degree conjunction coming into like the late 2019 or 2018. That was 25 degrees conjunction to your Saturn by Saturn. That was the 0 degree Aries activation. Then we had 25 degrees Capricorn Saturn that happened around like 2020, and that was the 30 degree manifestation. The vision that you return, you now manifested the direction you take it into. And of course, as a Virgo rising, this was to add more authority over your creativity. And now 25 degrees Aquarius, which was like coming in the last year, was the 60 degrees from your Saturn return. The reason why we want to reference this is because once we get into next year, you will have 25 degrees Pisces. 25 degrees Pisces will immediately enact 90 degrees and begin the integration process. So 0 degrees to 90 degrees is that activation of the second Saturn return, which is basically as you've gone around the 30 years. Because once we stepped into like the 86, 87, let's say, and because 88 it went into Capricorn, that was the first time I think we can say you stepped into your first Saturn return, which is the first 30 years of your life that steps you into adulthood. So ever since those 80s, you have already now fulfilled this karmic element of holding the collective, responsible to this hidden meaning so that it could be factored in amongst other ways. Because fourth house will also be real estate. If you ever wanted to kind of ever do that, is something you could pick up, helping people kind of see where they belong, or creating a foundation, which is also amazing. And now coming back around, this is consolidating a lot of the karma that you have already overcome. And so the activation activates that return of power, the greater maturity, wisdom. And now the integration is going to change the perception as a Virgo rising of how you take this inner understanding of your own private life, your creativity, and your lifestyle, and how you'll integrate it in your relationships with other people. Because once we get to 25 degrees Gemini, which will be on Uranus, 2030, that's where you complete the Saturn return and it begins to harvest yet again. So oh, please go ahead.
No, I guess looking at this moving forward, I could tell you the couple things that I'm interested in knowing about. Well, number one, I will say I've always felt like I can read people right away. I've always been, and I don't second guess
Like with
myself.
X-ray vision?
Almost. It's like
Okay.
no, it's like if I feel like somebody's a good person,
Yeah.
I know it right away. And if I feel like, sometimes I know somebody's kind of a shyster or a con person, but
Okay.
I still sometimes go, okay, I'm dealing with them. But I've kind of gotten stronger and stronger. As a matter of fact, this last couple days, I've produced films. I used to produce films. And I had one more that I wanted to do, but I needed to get rid of the con man that was my partner.
Mm.
And it just started happening, like where he said, okay, you pay me out. And at this point, I'm like, good. Like that's worth it to me to go. I can move forward without that energy. So I'm doing that. It's a creative project. It's an amazing project. So it looks like I was right in reading this person that way and just
Yeah.
clear the palette. So it seems like it's a time to clear off the plates and be like, okay, let's have a clean plates moving forward, clean slate
I have
of.
chills with you saying that because that I think is Saturn in the seventh. It's like clearing out who hold you back in your partnerships. And everything you said helped me learn right now because I didn't realize you have the south node on your moon. And then your moon is opposite Neptune and Scorpio. So I feel like at an intuitive level, like the moon in Taurus is good at understanding body language mechanics and, eccentricities as far as like natural values. But when we put that opposite Neptune and Scorpio, now your soul as an intuitive link is tapping into the psychology of somebody else intuitively. So it's like someone can move their body. And like you said, you just get a sense of the way they pick their nose. I just could feel they're a serial killer. And people be like, how do you
Yeah.
know that? And then you end up being right. So I just wanted to confirm that is an uncanny supernatural sense of intuition that with the South Node now taps your soul into an ancient past. I mean, I like to kind of say ancient. The South Node doesn't have to be, but moon on South Node does indicate an old soul, a very old soul. And this really taps in. It's what you came into this world. It could represent early childhood with the South Nodal Taurus natural talents of being able to assess value, know what's worth it, manifest. So the challenge we see with the North Node at 1 degree Scorpio is really in communicating in the third a lot of your intuition, which is going to be a challenge because Neptune in Scorpio, according to science, is fantasy, even though it's one of the most, like, I know a mentalist here who created the show The Mentalist. He's Sun Neptune Scorpio from this generation, and he's reading people's mind. He's using real psychic powers, but he's making it look like, oh, this is just a show, which I think is amazing. My mom has this. She's had dreams of stuff that she didn't know I did. You know what I mean? And it taught me that just being born and then not only that, because I think they're born in the 60s, you were born in the late 50s, which intensifies it and really kicks this off. So the connection with the moon is what we're going to see, I think, get stronger because Jupiter has evolved your soul. That's another part of this transit forecast. Jupiter going through Taurus has evolved the quality of how much your soul can receive. Uranus has innovated it. It's beautiful. 27 degrees MC in Taurus is going to set up one of the most powerful, unconventionally innovative breakthroughs in your career
Good.
that may have taken your whole life to set up, but relative to the most recent cycles, by the time we get to May of 2024, we're going to have Jupiter, Sun, and Uranus right on your MC. And
Well, it
that
seems like, yeah, it seems like right now this project is the one, and I keep saying my swan song. It's like I feel like this is the one that people will go, "You did
nah,
that? Oh, that's a great movie." And that's it. You know, like, and okay, now I can enjoy my
I
life.
have chills again because you said movie, and I feel like Uranus is what's going to really bring that, innovative, even movie quality to let it spread through so many different channels. But I think the way it will impact your reputation is to change the way people look at you. And also, Uranus does, I think, with Jupiter, that kind of boost to me is like if it was just Jupiter, let's say maybe you would sell like 1,000 copies or maybe even a million, but with Uranus there, it could be like 10 million, or it could just be the very unconventional, unexpected quality of how it just kind of goes out. But we want to see that conjunction is like sowing the seeds. But why that's important is this earlier May, we did that already. We had Uranus and the Sun and the North Node. So you've already kind of completed that north nodal opposition relative to 10 years ago, which set up what's going to come up 2024. So I'm glad you already kind of felt what you're working on is going to go there. The Taurus MC takes, I think, a while to really come into prominence, but once it does, it's wealth that lasts a lifetime. And I feel like at the stage of your life, you've already accomplished that and you're getting ready to literally take it to the next level, which is even cooler because now as an Aries sun, not only is Taurus your financial house. So if we were just going to look at this as your Aries sun, that conjunction is going to completely exponentially open the cycle to you manifesting more value that in Taurus comes from your own efforts. You manifested it. And then that money in your 10th is what's going to, of course, increase that. So it's really looking good. And if we now track where we are now in Sagittarius season, where the sun is quite literally next to your Saturn, this is revisiting this awareness of your vision, your plan of your vision, and it's going to begin to integrate coming into Pisces season a lot of since September what you reinitiated as far as the analysis of how you analyze who you are. Now you're understanding the vision of your life and where you've taken it. So a lot of this perspective in 4 days, you're going to direct as mutable signs give us the perception of what direction we want to go into. You've gained that with the new moon and Capricorn season, you're going to move in that direction. This
Oh
is
yeah.
going, and this is going to awaken even more creative direction of what you do that will link to your project in the 10th house, which is
Okay,
beautiful.
and the other question, and then what I'll probably do is once we finish, I'll redo another reading with you to keep going. But also relationships. So I'm trying to think of the dates, but so I haven't been in a relationship. It's been so long. I mean, it used to be I'd kind of like date a little. I was married, I got divorced, and he died.
What ye
Then
oh,
I would date,
what
and
year
I'd
did
meet
that
somebody.
happen? If you don't mind.
I don't mind you asking. Hold on, I'm gonna pull that out because I have it here, I think. Um, it should be, let's see, we got married 92. We were married for 7 years, so 99. I think he died in 2000. I'm gonna just see if I have his death. See, I have his certificate here somewhere, but I think he died in 2000.
Okay.
Um, so, uh, and I haven't been with anybody else.
That's
So
deep.
that's
That's
where I'm
very
kind of
deep.
like, what is going on?
Yeah. I wanted to see where Saturn was and right like I think a year after you got married to him, it went through your seventh house of relationships. anchored that in, but it's very significant to see that's why that it ended. 2000 Saturn, I think, was almost about to harvest. It was just entering Gemini. So that was just interesting to know. But I'm glad you mentioned love, because that is, we know Venus is there. So that is definitely going to be a major karmic lesson as far as what Saturn does in the seventh is it raises the standards of who we partner with relative to how you've adjusted. And I think at this elite heart designation, um, it could look like pickiness. It could look like, oh, no one's good enough to be with you, but it's like that kind of, I like to look sometimes as like the planets as like overprotective uncles or parents. So like if especially at the point of divinity, which is cool. Virgo risings have seventh house Pisces. They sponsor divine partnerships. Venus in the seventh, if you wanted to, you could literally like match make anybody you wanted. Like it's a very powerful magic to the heart. But behind the Aries sun, 12th house that's hidden, it can almost feel like you miss out on that. But personally, and not necessarily in a platonic sense, I this is more theory, but I feel like there is a very destined and karmic quality to this, almost as if they're outside forces that are like, you're not good enough for her. We don't want you to be with her. And that can sometimes sabotage connections that you really like with people. But it's like, because they're not like at a certain level, I don't even think it's really you that's blocking it. I think it's really out of protection to make sure. But that's really just more of a theory. I
Right.
think as far as like the relationships go, we know that now that Saturn is direct, you're going to have to facilitate karmic relationships just so that they not only prepare you moving forward, but they raise those standards. So I like to give a range. I
Okay.
personally feel like, love, especially, is anything that can happen at any moment. Certain transits will open and invite it. But yeah, and then I'll also provide a link to it'll be a YouTube video about manifestation and also no action needed. So this is where applying this will give you very quick results. But
Okay.
personally, and thankfully you've done the work already. So another thing we want to keep in mind is the North Node. The North Node, the South Node is on your Jupiter. The North Node has already gone past your Sun. So that's another thing we want to look at. By the time we get to Pisces season and we're in your seventh house and then your progressed seventh house range, this might actually establish relationships that you're destined to actually kind of connect through. So it's not too far of a stretch to say that a romantic relationship might be on the table, and we might see this already come in, if not now, by March, once we're in your
Good.
seventh. Capricorn is
Perfect.
move you in the direction towards your creativity. And since the fifth house is a house of romance, normally these are friends that share the same joys that we love. This could also be a period where you meet this person or already know this person and may not realize that it's going there, or already realize it's going there. It's also a point of career as your Aries sun. So we have to talk about that because Pluto is 29 degrees. It's going to be 29 degrees in a couple days, and it's going to immediately square your sun. So that's something that Libras have been going through. I feel like Aries go through it way worse, but like basically that pressure of the square, all of tradition kind of weighing on you as far as you still being this master individual and not having to let the dictates of tradition create a glass ceiling. Well, now that Pluto's going to Aquarius, you will never have to go through something like this again. In fact, I respect how you're going through this even more because unlike Libras who were born in the 80s, you had to go through maybe not Pluto Cancer, but you had to go through Pluto Libra, 29 degrees opposite, and then the square. So this is a huge milestone victory that I love is happening while you're about to release this project. It really is your swan song. The only thing is Taurus is the slowest moving sign because it has to be. I think the only thing, nothing will go wrong with this. At worst, it may just take slow to start,
Right.
but because Uranus is there, I think that's a magic beanstalk. It might really just exponentially move forward. But regardless, this theme of like milestone success is huge coming into the end of this year, next year, and then moving forward with it 2025. So this year started it. 2024 is the experience of the success. 2025 is moving forward after experiencing that success, which is well deserved. And I think it's definitely going to be enjoyable. Aquarius is going to now integrate the advanced knowledge of how you're putting everything together since September. And then once we step into March, you're going to integrate all of these habits with other people, giving you that experience. We'll have Sun, it'll be our first Sun Saturn conjunction in Pisces for over 30 years. So that I think is what's going to initialize the relationship house program. And since Pisces is behind Aries, it is transcending your beliefs around the meaning of your partnerships and how you inspire belief in others in ways you may not even be aware of. So I think that's going to be a major faded karmic time period. Of course, checking out those manifestation videos, I think will just keep you aligned with what you want and help you recognize this a lot more, because you probably already practice it regardless, even if innately. But it's really good to know by the time we now get to Aries season, that's going to be the eclipse. This is going to enact the mission. And because you have Aries, Mercury, and Sun, a lot of these North Nodal themes of authenticity, you are a conduit of. You're like the captain of this destiny group. A lot of us have to watch your lead because you're going to be moving in an authentic direction. This is going to kick in the new year. This is going to transform how you deal with others. And because that's the result of partnership, it should be by then you are more aware than ever who you're moving forward with, what's actually picking up. And then Taurus season, that's going to bring the initialization of all the success that will bring Jupiter to go into Gemini May to June of 2024. And yeah, begin really this next zeitgeist or change of a lot of opinions and putting a lot of things into perspective, but should most definitely be very exciting. And I would definitely love for you to keep me posted on how your project goes, because I think that's really amazing.
Well, so what I can do is when do you think it would be good, like, to get back to you to kind of do an update? Like a month, like do it, in a month?
Let's do March. I
March.
think, yeah, we could do right before your birthday period or right after it so we can get an
Okay.
idea of what it looks like. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll have some information then. I'm so glad I got a chance to see you and talk to you. And
Likewise.
I'll look at the links, I'll listen to this again, and I will keep you posted so we can keep moving forward.
Anything you want to email me to ask or mention, please feel free. That's totally fine.
Okay. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'll probably have my two daughters will probably be doing their charts, and one of them is
Awesome.
very psychic. She has
Okay.
dreams that always come true.
Does she
It's
have Neptune Pisces? Is she born like after 2000 or 90s?
she was born in 1996, and she was born in January.
Oh
So
my God. Yeah.
she's got really weird, like she'll call me and tell me she had a dream about this, and she goes, "I just want to tell you so if it happens," and it always happens.
I have chills because 96 is part of the new generation, and people born 96, 97 have their Neptune at the end of Capricorn. So have the most powerful intuition in reality. And I needed to know that they're that precognitive. That's amazing. Oh, which means she's a Capricorn with the dream power. And I want to do a documentary with Capricorns with Neptune in their sign, because they all have these supernatural powers like this and predicting stuff like that. So I needed to know that. I have chills all over my
Yeah,
body.
I'll tell them both to get, to go online and get it done. But she's weirdly, I mean, it's weird. Like she'll always say, "So and so is pregnant. I just want to say it," or she's having a girl. And I'm like, and I always joke with her. I'm like, "Why don't you have a dream that I meet someone?" And she's like, because all her dreams are real, like they all happen. And I won't
Thank
tell her I told you that, but
Okay.
you'll see by her chart. I don't do charts. I mean, I'm very into psychics, and I believe in, I speak to those that have passed over. Like I talk to them. I'm like, please, watch
Yeah.
out for the girls, or please make this happen. And she just tells me her dreams. Like, this happened. Just want to tell you. Just want to tell you.
So
So
amazing.
yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate that because, like, I've learned, like, yeah, you may not read the chart, but I love that what it takes me to look in the chart, you can just see naturally without even
Right.
needing a chart, which is awesome.
Well,
So yeah.
good. Thank you. So, well, and then you talk to her if you're doing a documentary. She's,
Oh
used
yeah,
to
I'm
be a
definitely gonna
little
reach.
actress. She'd be happy.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. And you're gonna get the recording from WeTransfer
Okay.
instead of from my email. So I'll send that to you right now.